Hello and welcome to Tampa Bay Right Now, a program dedicated to addressing important issues in our Bay Area, promoting awareness and providing you, the community, with information and resources needed to find solutions to these issues. I'm Allison Burns, and today we are talking about domestic and sexual violence. Joining me is Dr. Leslie Killey, who is the Director of Counseling Services at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. Leslie, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us first, what is the Crisis Center and what it is that you do?
The Crisis Center of Tampa Bay is an outreach to serve people that need hope, help, and healing in our community. Basically, we are 211. Suicide prevention services, those are 24/7. We also have a rape crisis line and operate a 24/7 sexual assault services for those aged 13 and over, any time of the day or night. The services are available. I'm actually director over the counseling services, and we work with people that have experienced trauma from little ones up to the ages of elders, and that can be sexual abuse, that can be rape, sexual assault, protracted grief, any kind of issue that creates trauma, living through a storm such as Katrina.
Sure.
And we also have TransCare, which is an ambulance service that does all the Baker Act mental health transports. Okay. Hillsborough and Pasco County right now and looking to expand. And we also have a family safety and preservation program, and then a school-based anti-bullying, anti-sexting program.
Okay.
A little bit of everything.
Everything, yeah. Just a crisis center that if you need help, you can go there.
Call us.
That's fantastic. So tell me, let's talk about domestic and sexual violence. What constitutes one or the other?
Well, sexual violence could be rape, could be sexual assault, it could be stalking, whereas domestic violence is usually in the realm of physical abuse. When we know emotional abuse is threaded through both of those definitions, but you can't see an emotional bruise, so oftentimes that's discounted.
Right, and I've read recently about how the economy has even led to, I think, a higher degree of sexual and domestic violence. Would you agree with that?
I would, but just remember that sexual violence and domestic violence are across all economic lines. They're across gender, they're across socioeconomic status. 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and then the corollary is also 1 in 4 women will also experience sexual violence. And it gets a little deeper, 1 in 6 will experience rape or sexual assault.
Right, and like you said, it's all across the board. It affects every...
Absolutely.
And every age, too, right?
Every age.
So
the highest risk age is 20 to 24 for women.
Okay.
College age seems to be the target.
Really? And does it happen, it's mostly with a partner, correct? Like their domestic partner or their boyfriend?
89% of the cases know their partner. I hate statistics, but when you hear that number, that's got to
staggering.
trigger just some sadness. Even in the midst of teenage dating in high school, you'll just see just an overwhelming, like 1 in 5 teenagers will report that they know someone or they've experienced getting beat or hurt or raped in a dating relationship.
Don't most of them happen near their home as well, or near where they're residing?
Over 50% are either in the home or near their home.
Wow. You
can check all this data. It's at your fingertips. It's unfortunately valid.
Right.
And it's the Florida Council Against Domestic Violence and the Florida Council Against Sexual Violence. You can Google those with no problem at all.
And is there a group that's more at risk than someone else, or is it, like you said, just pretty much even across the board?
It's across the board.
It's across the board.
You know, right now the target seems to be the college age, you know, and women more than men.
Right. But it does happen to men.
Yes, it does.
There are domestic
violence.
So. And I think we forget about that sometimes.
That's one of the reasons the Crisis Center actually has a task force. And we're always looking for new members on Men Against Violence, where young men and adult males and elders actually take a pledge to protect the women and the girls in their lives.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because like you said, this can happen in the schools with someone they know. It can happen at home with someone they know. So it's important about getting the word out there so that people can realize this can happen to anyone at any time. And so you have places like you that they can call. Is there a website? Is there a phone number that they can just pick up the phone and...
211. Just call 211. That's the entry into every program that we have. And if we can't serve your needs, then that 211 will bridge you in our community where you can get help.
And what would you say are some of the reasons that this type of violence happens?
It's intergenerational. If you think about financial poverty, which is what all the newspapers and the stories are focusing in on right now, imagine emotional and spiritual poverty.
Right.
And it's not by accident that a young woman will step up and in her grandparents' home and in her parents' home, domestic violence was rampant or sexual violence was rampant. You know, we do act out what we know. Where does abuse come from?
Norm.
Hereditary or environmental? They've never been able to totally answer that argument because it's both. But when you have lack of self-esteem, when you don't feel good about yourself, and you've lived in a home where there's sexual abuse or there's physical abuse, you are more apt to then choose a partner that will be abusive to you.
Right, because it's what you know. It's what you've been raised on.
It's the rules you know. It's comfortable because it's the rules you know, even if it hurts. And moving outside of that victim role, if you can, is really, really hard.
Absolutely. And
Because
I think, too, for mothers, like, they don't realize that their children are witnessing some of this and that it eventually will maybe bleed over into their own lives as they get older.
Yeah, unfortunately. If a child views physical violence, and you figure how little is a child, how tall are we as adults, we can't forget how big we are, little ones are going to side with the position of power over the position of victim, even when they love that other parent that may be getting abused.
Right. Well, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Yes. So don't go anywhere. Joining us will be Nicole Kaysen, who is also with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. Stay tuned.